Hi, and welcome to our video lecture series, part 1 of 2, on comparing IPv4 to IPv6. My name is Ron Richter. I'm an instructor here at Blue Ridge Community Technical College, and I'm here to talk to you about IPv4 versus IPv6. So before we get started, let's talk about why IPv6 has evolved, why we need IPv6. IPv6 is designed to be the successor transportation protocol to IPv4. Because of the rapid growth of the internet over the last 2 decades and the depletion of IPv4 space, we've had to develop a new addressing structure to accommodate the billions more internet addresses that we'll need for today and in the future. Because IPv4 has a theoretical maximum of about 4.3 billion addresses. We can bump that up by incorporating private addresses and reusing some of those 4.3 billion addresses over and over again by using this technology called NAT. Compare it with IPv6. IPv6 has 128 bits of address space. If you do the math, we can get around 340 undecillion addresses. That's 340 with 30 zeros behind it. To give you a little bit of perspective, that's enough addresses to address every atom on the surface of the Earth times 50 Earths. So a lot of addresses and a lot of addressing space in IPv6. So let's compare what they look like physically. Compared to an IPv4 address, which we've talked about in past video lectures, it's a 32-bit address. IPv6 addresses are 128 bits in length, so much larger. It's written as a string of hexadecimal values. In IPv6, 4 bits represent a single hexadecimal digit. As compare that to an IPv4 address, 8 bits represent what we call a octet in IPv4. In IPv6, we have 32 hexadecimal values arranged in 8 hextets. Hextets used to refer to a segment of exactly 16 bits, or 4 hexadecimal values in each hextet. Can be written in either upper or lower case. Each hextet is normally separated or delimited by a colon. Because of their size, these 128-bit addresses can be a bit unwieldy to use in day-to-day practice. So there are some rules that allow us to shrink these addresses down in size for day-to-day use. Some of these rules include eliminating leading zeros so that only non-zero characters are actually represented, and compressing consecutive zeros. In this case, we see a regular IPv6 address expressed in normal notation, condensed down using the rules of compression by eliminating leading zeros and compressing successive zeros. We can get a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to use address. When we talk about an IPv6 address, another example of how it differs vastly with an IPv4 address is this idea of subnet masking. If you remember, in IPv4, a subnet mask was required to be able to distinguish where the network portion and the host portion of the address started and stopped. In IPv6 realm, we no longer need a subnet mask. Prefix length is now determined by the slash notation in an IPv6 address. At this current state and time, a conventional IPv6 address consists of exactly 64 bits in the prefix and 64 bits in the interface ID. The prefix representing the network portion, the interface ID representing the host portion. In time, you'll see this prefix begin to shift to the right as more and more bits be dedicated to identify the prefix portions, or the portions that are assigned to us by ISP providers. Now, IPv6 addresses, like IPv4 addresses, come in different varieties. The three types of IPv6 addresses can be, just like an IPv4 address, a unicast address, which is communications from one individual host to another individual host. A multicast address, which is like the multicast addressing in IPv4, where one host can address multiple hosts. Or anycast. Now in IPv6, there is no broadcast address. However, there is an anycast address. Anycast address differs from a broadcast address in the respect that an anycast address can refer to any host addressed in a single group, all with the same address. So that in a clustered implementation, a series of servers all could share the same IPv6 address. And an anycast message could hit any of those group of servers that are available to respond.